player we haven't heard much about. I know he was high expectation. Keyshawn Davila, how's he doing?
Yeah, I like him, and I think he's done a good job. He's in, obviously he's battling with those other corners, but I think we hit on him. I like him. He's really, really fast. So, as we continue to go, I look for him to get better and better, which we really have done that. Our defense has really improved, I think, over the last few days. I think the corners are part of the reason.
Last year you had Malachi backing up Taylor, and this year you got a lot of young guys behind him. So are you a little concerned there if Taylor gets hurt, or do you feel pretty good about by the time fall rolls around, those guys will be ready? At least one of them.
Well, I think KJ Jackson, I think he'll be ready. He's done a lot of good things, and again, I think he's improving. It's a good competition in there. But I like KJ, and he's made some good throws. Continue to learn, but I think we'll all feel really comfortable when he goes in a football game.
Nico looks like he's gotten, or I keep calling him Nico Madden Iamaleava. I can say his name, the last name right. He looks like he's getting a lot of the third team reps. What have you seen from him from day 1 to day 5 now?
He didn't play last year, so I think his development and his improvement is going to go a little bit faster than even if he had. We really like him a lot. He's got a strong arm, works extremely hard at the craft, big-time technician, spends extra time learning his responsibilities. But you're right. Right now he's gotten not all but most of the 3 reps. And so we're trying to find really, right now KJ would be the 2, and then we're just trying to find out who that 3 is. Boda's getting some reps in there. Grayson's getting some reps in there. Grayson's actually improving as well. But I like him. He's talented. He's what we thought we would get when we signed him late.
We touched on this a little bit the other day, but a lot different looking receiver room. You go from 6'4", 6'7" guys to a lot shorter, 5'9", 5'8", 6'1". So do you feel like you're going to be better, worse, or just different at wide receiver?
I think we're going to be pretty special in the slot. That's not what your question was, but I think we'll be pretty special with Sharp, Shanks, and Cross Johnson. I think we'll be pretty special in there. On the edge, I would say C.J. Brown, CeCe would be the 2 guys that's probably stood out the most right now. We need Omega Blake to keep coming on, which I believe that he will. Monte Harrison made a couple of really nice one-handed grabs the other day. But I think probably to answer your question, we're probably 7 or so deep right now. We need that elite big man, whether that be Blake takes that, Harrison takes that. But we need that elite physical one-on-one presence guy. And I believe they're on the team. They just got to show up for us. I think they will, but I think we're going. I think we can throw and catch the football. I think probably you said it the best. We're just going to be a little bit different, and we'll even have, and we have had opportunities to have Sharp and Shanks on the field at the same time. Now, you're not going to be big when that happens, So we've got to find that one dominant. Andrew Armstrong, obviously, Traylon Burks was that way. And I believe we have them on the team. They've got another 10 practices to get that done.
Last time we talked, you said you feel like you know what you have a little bit more offensively than maybe on the defensive side of the ball with the new faces. Now that it's only been a week or so, but now that you've seen them a little bit more, who has stood out to you on that defensive side?
Quincy Rose, Ian Griffard, and Danny Sully. Those are 3 guys that I think they didn't play a lot, but I think those 3 are as improved as anyone that we have on the team. They've done a really good job in there. Obviously, we're without Cam and Oki inside. Those guys, Sori and Dix, but they played, but you can feel them all the time. I'll tell you, Guy, Selman Bridges is getting better. Jaden Allen, and then we talked about Davila. But I think those guys that we hadn't seen play a lot of ball, those are the ones that I feel like, hey, they're going to be okay. They're going to be good players if they'll continue to improve.
I think we talked a little bit about Rohan Jones last time we saw you, but just what do you like about him, and what do you feel like you got in him?
Yeah, that's another thing. We've got to get him the ball more this spring because he's very, very capable. But I like the man. I like his work ethic. He's a willing blocker, and obviously he can run and catch. I haven't felt him as much at practice. We haven't got the ball to him as much, but he's very, very talented, and he's actually more physical than what I thought he would be when he came in.
And I guess same kind of question about Mike Washington, because we haven't talked about
Love
him a whole
him.
lot yet. Yeah, what do you feel like he's added to the running back group?
He's good. I mean, he's fast. He can break tackles. Never says a word, he made a run the other day in the scrimmage. I don't know if we blocked many people from about the 6-yard line. That was special. On tape, watching him on tape, my only question was, can he break tackles? Because he's fast and he's big and he makes good cuts and all that. And that's been answered. I mean, he's broken a lot of tackles. And we've had opportunities situationally to tackle. We got to find about our team. And in those situations, we've stayed fairly healthy. But I'm high on Mike Washington.
Coach, the true freshmen that came in at midterm, have any of those guys stood out to you that maybe you think, hey, they may be in the mix this fall? Whether the starter or not, but at least get good, meaningful reps.
Right off the top of my head, the number one guy would be J.J. Shelton. I think he's a guy, obviously we recruit him at linebacker, but he's playing the nickel, the hog, whatever you want to call it. I think that would be the number one guy on defense that kind of sticks out. Offensively, I like those two linemen that we brought in, Blake Cherry and Cash Courtney. And before he got hurt, I thought that Ferguson was a guy that, and I still do, I believe that he'll be in our top 9. He made a great catch on that diving catch. We were in Spiders. He hit his shoulder, broke his clavicle, but he would be the other guy. And the kicker, Starcy.
At linebacker, I know about Sori and Dix, but who behind them is kind of moving up to the front behind those two guys?
Shaw would be that. It's unfortunate that, we had a hamstring pull with Wyatt Simmons, but J.J. Shelton's kind of there. But the top 3 would be those two, as you said, and then Shaw, and then we're certainly counting on Wyatt Simmons to be probably the next guy.
I don't know if I'm supposed to, but David Oki, you had said he might be out in a week or so. Are we allowed to talk about, is he going to be back this spring is my question. If you can't answer it, I understand.
No, I can answer it. Okay. We probably could have brought him back today, probably. We thought we went this far, another 10 days, but he will be back on Tuesday. So he'll get 9 of them. And that's kind of most of these guys will be, without the, Jordan Young had the surgery, so we know that he can't come back. But most of the guys, Kenai Walker is a guy that we need to see, that will be back on Tuesday as well.
How are you feeling about the offensive line after 5 days? I saw a little, maybe just for a little bit, it looked like Marion was working at Summit right guard. Not a whole lot, but just your thoughts on where things stand right now.
Well, it gave us with Kobe Branham having surgery on his pec, that gave us opportunity to move. And Marion's so valuable because he can play so many positions for us. Obviously, he wants to start at wherever. Right now, it's right tackle. But when Kobe had his surgery, which is unfortunate because he's one of the best offensive linemen we have. I mean, he's a good player. But we can develop somebody else, and he'll be back for fall and all those things. But it allowed us to move Harris inside a little bit, and it allowed us to have Shaq be a one, because certainly he has the talent to start for us. So, but to answer your question, that's why we did it. And we'll probably move him a little bit to left guard as well, at some point.
Shaq is listed at 6'8", 362. Is he taller than that? I mean, you got other guys that are listed at 6'8", and he's taller than them.
He's not Dan Skipper height, but he's close. I mean, he is. Dan, when he was here, now Dan's a huge man now, but when he was here, he was a big guy, but he was, he looked tall because he wasn't thick, thick. That's where Shaq doesn't look so tall because he's so big as well, but yeah, I think he's every bit of that 6'8" or more, and he can move. I mean, he's not a freshman, which was your question, but he's as impressive as a newcomer. I think him and Mike on offense would be the two guys that are, well, you have Sharp too, Shanks, those guys, but on the O-line, he's been really impressive for a young guy. Corey Robinson obviously has been playing well too, but I'm real happy with him.
Seems like so far maybe Larry Worth is kind of the voice in the secondary right now. Your thoughts on him? He said he verticaled 41 inches also. What kind of future does he potentially have at safety or nickel?
Well, and we're kind of rotating him a little bit, at hog and safety, and obviously I think we have 4 guys in the secondary, that we're going to get back. They're just not healthy right now, so we're trying to find out exactly which place Larry can play. But, he ran, I believe it was 47-something into 400 meters in high school, and it just wasn't as big as he is now. But I believe he's an NFL-type player. He can really run, and he's physical. And you're right. He's always been a vocal guy. I don't know if they were listening to him as much as they do now since he's starting and he's making good plays and all that. But he has that capability, and I like him a lot. He's really, really physical. And so we just have to find out where we're a better defense, whether he's at hog or whether he's at safety. Right now he's playing more safety.
Where do you feel like Keyshawn Blackstock needs to improve this year, and do you feel like he's kind of making strides?
Well, I think we finally found his place. I think right guard is his, where he can, we moved him a lot last year. I was watching, all the tape from last year and trying, he played several positions for us last year. I don't know, he had to, he's playing right tackle against Tennessee, and he played guard, and I believe he played some left tackle for us as well. So, I think putting him at one spot, I think we found his spot where he can have success, and he's still got to, he's not stepping well to his left. We've got to get that figured out, but his pass protection has been as good as it's been since he's been here at right guard.
This is kind of old news now, but I forgot to ask about it last time we saw you with the rule changes regarding faking injuries and stuff. Do you like what they've adopted there?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I have to look at it. There were so many different things going around. I don't know to be honest with you, I don't know where they settled on that. I think, is it where you have to set out?
It has to do with it's a timeout thing, isn't it? It's like, yeah. It's after they what is it? I don't know the exact wording of it.
After they spot the ball, if they go down, it's either going to cost you a timeout. You don't have any timeouts, it'll be a 5-yard penalty.
Well, our compliance girl had a baby, so I'm not up on that current rule. Hannah did, But here's what I'll tell you. We don't do it. So I think there's no reason for it in the game. I think putting that on the officials is very, very difficult. And so we have to do something about it, because momentum is momentum. And if somebody wants to fake an injury, it needs to cost them a timeout or whatever, whatever they decide with the rule. But we don't do it. We don't teach it. So I refuse to do it. It's not part of the game. I think it taints the game. And so if that's the rule, I like it.
Because I think the Coaches Association had floated the idea of, you have to sit out for the rest of whatever it is, the drive,
I think,
or the series.
I think everybody was okay with that, except for the communication part. If that happened to be your guy, and the quarterback. If you're in a 2-minute drive and the quarterback gets hurt, because again, if a guy goes down, the rule isn't did he fake it, or is it if he goes down, he goes down. And I think there was a big concern about trying to have a 2-minute drive and your quarterback, gets dinged up a little bit and you've got to use a timeout. You don't have one. You understand what I'm saying. So I think that was the biggest, that and the communication defensively.
I always wonder, is everybody, if you're, somebody's cheating on faking injuries, is the training staff in on it? It's everybody had to be on the same page. How's that work?
Once you run out there, a lot of times, they'll tell you whether it's real or not, and then they're not just going to pull him up right then and there. You got to wait a minute. It's days of our lives or whatever. You know what I mean? All my children. You got to act a little bit.
Work it out. Your freshman defensive tackles, do you think Bell or Otis, either of those guys, might be able to help you this year?
They might. Certainly have the athletic ability. I like both those kids. They're doing better. They certainly might. They're both good gets, I'll tell you that. They're athletic.
Well, after watching, obviously, 5 practices, anything stick out as far as, you got the April portal window coming up, and, you've talked about some of the guys you were able to get last year, a lot of good contributors. Yeah. Any areas you feel like you're a little thin, need a boost?
I think when you look at it, I think it's defensively, and I'm talking about depth. We're over offensively. We're over our number. So most of our help would be, I thought, Trey, earlier we might need some inside help, but, we'll see where Oki's at. Obviously, we have Cam Ball. I'm very, very happy with Ian and Danny. Defensive end wise, and then some secondary. We've got to do something there as well. That would, to me, be where we would go in the portal if we have scholarships available, which I'm anticipating we probably will.
Do you mean more corner or safety or both? Or
both.
Is it more about just depth? I know safety numbers are a little low.
Both, yeah, both. We originally when we had our first meeting, I was talking about 6. I was talking about 1 or 2 up front and the rest of them in the back end. So I don't know that that's changed because of what you said. Our numbers are and some of it's because 4 of them are out, but our numbers are low back there. We've got to do that, and I've learned, at least I've learned this in the portal, if a guy leaves and say he's not a starter, well, let's do it the other way. How valuable was Hudson Clark for 4 years for us? He got a lot of hell because of this or that or the other, but he wouldn't have been out there if he wasn't our best option, and it was corner, it was hog, it was safety. So I have learned that the depth is very, very important. You don't obviously go in the portal for depth. You go in for a starter, but you need depth, and you'll get it from the guy who's starting now, or you'll get it from, the guy coming in from the portal. So the one thing I'll say this is I think our competition at most every spot right now is pretty good, and I think that's why I feel like that's why we're having really good practices so far.
Back to Monte. He obviously was, mostly a special teams player last year, coming from baseball. How big of a jump has he made from being, I guess, reintroduced to football in a way to now? And can he legitimately help? Because he has made some plays out there.
Yeah.
But does a guy go from 28-year-old special teams player to 29-year-old key player for you?
I think that he's improving. I think that he may improve because of his age and he was in baseball and all. I think he may have more of a gradual improvement, which I think maybe you're alluding to, or that's what I'm alluding to. How about that? I'm seeing that. The younger they are, it seems to me like they jump faster, So I think the more he practices, the more he gets used to playing football. Again, it's not only that he never played football for that many years, but he was playing sports, but it was another sport, and age. But he had two really nice catches on what's the day? Tuesday, and I think the competition that he's in right now with these other guys, I think that will help him continue to strain and get better.
Coach, I've got one last question. On Courtney Crutchfield, how's he coming along and improving and getting better as spring moves along?
He's getting better. He's pushing himself better than what he did early. A lot of that has to do with understanding the system, understanding the route tree, all those things, how they group together. He's doing a better job. I'll say that he's doing a better job. He's coming on each day. As long as he continues to work, I think he'll be a fine player for us.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on all the madness. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to a $200,000 bracket contest, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.